Rob, I can't believe it. 10 years of these industry reports you've been producing for EIBTM. How does it feel?
It feels like something of an achievement because some of those years have been a bit difficult when the economy has been down and people have been struggling. I've had to do the research, then present it here, and it hasn't always been good news. But one piece of real good news is that every year doing the report, I've found that there are more sources that I can use. 10 years ago, there was still very little data on meetings and incentives, and each year what I've seen is new, quite good quality data coming out. That helps me because it gives me more to read. It means I can synthesize the findings and come up with a conclusion, a list of trends that are pretty robust and believable.
Now let's come straight into 2014. What are the key findings this year?
Well, the key findings are that it's very difficult to generalize over the whole world in terms of trends in meetings and events. Some parts of the world, the US, for example, the UK, countries where the economy has been doing rather well this year, they've seen very successful meetings and events sectors. So lots of optimism among meeting planners, budgets going up, lead times, interestingly, becoming shorter because meeting planners are beginning to realize that if they want that venue in one of our major cities, actually they're going to have to book it quite a long way out. So we've seen a bit of a reversal this year in the sense that lead times in some parts of the world are actually getting longer. The other thing we've seen is a phrase which I thought I would never hear, and that is a seller's market. I've come to EIBTM every year for the last 10 years saying the same thing. It's a buyer's market. The buyers have the power. This year what we're seeing, again, just in certain parts of the world, is that the sellers are in a stronger position because demand is rising. There is more and more demand for meetings, but the supply of venues, hotels and so on hasn't gone up at the same pace. So it's an interesting situation. But there I'm just talking about certain countries. In other countries, even here in Europe, where the economies are still struggling a bit, we're seeing stagnation, I would say, not fewer meetings, but not more meetings either. So the situation's very different depending on where you're looking at. Needless to say, in the developing world, such as China, a lot of expansion there. Very interesting this year. Not only are they still building these convention centers in China, but they're also creating convention bureaus. And that's encouraging. They seem to have understood the convention bureau model a lot more. Of course, here in Europe, we're also seeing new convention bureaus opening up. One for Italy, one for the Costa Brava. And I think that's a sign that people are determined to succeed and that they see destination marketing as one way of winning those events. So I think I have an optimistic message for the people who attend my session this year. However, at the same time, we have to acknowledge that there are going to be challenges. Anyone who reads the newspaper knows that there are geopolitical problems, Ukraine, Syria. The problem with those conflicts is that they're pretty open-ended and it's quite difficult to predict how things will be going there. And obviously there's a kickback on the economy in the sense that Russia, the economy is struggling, the ruble has lost a lot of value. But here in Europe, countries like Germany who trade with Russia, they're finding that their markets are down as well. So the end of the year is an interesting situation. If I was doing this interview 6 months ago, I would be much more upbeat because things were looking up. They still are, but on the horizon we see these clouds and they may turn out to be nothing at all. Simple things like Ebola crisis. Now that's already out of Africa. Where's that going to go? Is that going to have an impact on international travel and therefore international conference attendance? It's a bit of a case of wait and see.
Rob, thank you very much for talking to me.
It's a pleasure, Ian. Thanks again.